Welcome back, everybody. This is Mr. Canada again with our latest installment of the Senior Project Screencast. This time, the topic is the letter to the panel. So what is the letter to the panel? Letter to the panel introduces the student to the panel members before the student's presentation. Now, if you've gone to a senior project presentation, you may or may not have noticed, but the three panel members, the two teachers and the one student, get a letter from the presenter that introduces themselves and their project to the panel before the presentation starts. There's a lot of reasons for this, gives a little background information and so forth, but mostly it introduces us to a person that we may not even know. So what does all that mean? Well, believe it or not, it's a big school, and I don't know every student in the building, and I've sat on senior project panels for students I've never met and in some cases never even seen before. And so this letter really serves as an opportunity to get to know the person, even if just a little bit, right before their presentation starts. And that can be very, very helpful in understanding why they've done the project that they've done, and to help you as a panel member really appreciate the work that they've done. In terms of the parameters and the instructions, they're all right there in the Google Docs folder. You guys can find all the information, but just in a nutshell, first and foremost, it's going to be written in a business letter format. Now, that's just a good skill to have. It's good to know how to do that or how to figure out how to do that. So we're going to ask that you do it. There's going to be 3 paragraphs. We'll talk about those in just a minute. It's going to include your essential question and your sub-essential questions. And that's actually pretty helpful during the presentation because sometimes students go through that part really fast, and it's good to have it right in front of them while the presentation is going on. In terms of where it's going to be on the SPOP, it's going to be embedded right there on the letter to the panel page. And then this is important. When your presentation happens, on the day of your presentation, bring 3 copies with you to your presentation for the panel members. You'd be surprised how many students forget that piece. All right, paragraph 1, first paragraph of your letter to the panel. You're going to give a brief biography of yourself, and I can't emphasize enough the brief part of it. We don't need your whole life story, but we should know enough about you that we can put the project and the presentation and everything into your personal context. And because it's important to know where you've been in your life and education. Because if you've been in Bedford your whole scholastic career, then you might come at this very differently from someone who moved here just last year, where this might be very different and challenging for them. Make it interesting. We're going to read it, and so give us something that we'll enjoy reading, please. Your second paragraph, you're going to talk about the actual project yourself, and these are all the questions that you should really think about when you're writing that paragraph. Now, not every single one of these questions is going to be applicable to you and your project, but answer as many as you think are meaningful and relevant, reasonable, appropriate, and what have you. But some of these are really non-negotiables. For example, I think it's pretty important why you should tell us about that. You should tell us why you chose this topic, and certainly your overall conclusions about your senior project. I think that's really good. It shows sort of reflection, kind of adds another dimension to you as a human being. The third paragraph, thinking about where you're going after this. How has this project helped you sort of guide yourself toward your future? We want you to be complete and thorough, but short and sweet, never really hurt anybody. When you're done with this letter, make sure you embed it on the correct page on your SPOP, and then please do not forget to bring 3 copies to your presentation, because you may not have people on your panel who are willing to give you the benefit of the doubt of printing that out and giving it to them after the fact. Not only that, but if you just think about it as more than a formality and actually a legitimate introduction of who you are to your panel, it's a pretty nice thing to do as well. So The information's fairly straightforward. The instructions are fairly straightforward. But if you still have any questions, you can always ask your senior project mentor for help. And certainly, I didn't mention this before, but just as you did with your proposal, you should proofread this. You should have somebody read this out loud to you so that you can find all those mistakes, because let's be honest, you want to avoid that. So anyway, long story short, if you got any more questions, ask your senior project mentor, ask your friends, other seniors, or hey, you could even ask me, Mr. Cannon, signing off.